So let's talk about my journals. Hello, my name is Veronica, aka Vespettilio. I am an Italian comic book author, tarot and oracle deck creator, and your spooky art teacher.
It's me again, yours truly.
Welcome back to my channel. So this is hopefully a very short video in which I want to talk about a little side passion project of mine. If you've been following me for a while, you know that I've been sketching pretty consistently for the past years, and I work primarily pen on paper, and I have filled few sketchbook by now. You can watch some of my sketchbook tours in this playlist right here. Lately I've been consistent with this sketchbook right here. We're going to talk about this in a second, which is actually ring planner with ring. I don't know what's the word in English, honestly. I think binder is the word, but I'm not sure about it. Basically this came as a planner. It also had like an external cover. You can watch and learn all of the specifics of this in my art supplies video, by the way. I was not satisfied with its cover, and so I decided to do something new, and I want to talk about this. So another thing you need to know is that this is now my sketchbook and going out journal, because it has this last part where there are some pages to write on. This used to be my everything journal, where I would keep my morning pages, notes for everything, basically tarot readings and my informations about my spiritual practice and stuff like that. And this was getting significantly chunkier, and so I decided to split it into two. Another reason why I decided to split in two sections my writing is because I would go everywhere with this one. As much as it was really nice, at one point I realized if I lose this, it's going to be devastating for my sketchbook, but it's going to be terrifying for all of the rest. Imagine you lose your favorite, most expensive piece of jewelry. That is bad. Now imagine you lose your favorite piece of clothing while you're wearing it out in the street, and all of a sudden you're naked. So this doesn't go out of the house anymore. This stays in the house. And this is with me everywhere I go, basically. And if I write something in this, still going to be pretty embarrassing. Someone finds it, but better to have just some of it, possibly in danger, than have all of it. So that is why I decided to split my everything journal into two separate journals. We're going to talk about the covers in a second because I'm obsessed. Lately, the cover were looking a little different. This video is going to be like a nice lighthearted chat on how I did this, because of course I didn't film it. So let's start to talk about it. I wanted to do something new with the cover of my sketchbook and journal. Actually, the journal was a side effect. I was okay with how the cover looked. This is how this looks like, and before it only had the moon that was laying on this part. I had like a see-through plastic envelope, and the moon would sit here, and then I would have this part which says Grimoire. I made this myself with a pattern I had created, and also this design of this font that I've done and then printed with my label printer, basically. So that is what it looked like, and I was pretty happy with that. While for this one right here, I've been using this illustration as the cover for a few months. I hope you can see it. This one. And it also had the plastic thing on top, on which I had this picture of mine, which is this picture I had recolored myself, which was the picture I used for the poster of the gig I played at the beginning of this month. And so I wanted to do something new with it. So the first thing I did, I don't remember if I started playing with the text. No, I first did the drawing. So the first thing I did was the drawing, this little sketch right here, W, my witch character, and I did this little sketch of her flying, and then I decided to add the moon and her little book and draw her like this. So my initial plan was to use this on the cover. So I had this plastic envelope, like I had reprinted on a label the illustration. At the beginning it was all purple this side, but I love purple, as you can probably tell by the look of this other one, but it kind of felt overwhelming on this. And so I had done this, cut it out, stick it. And then I did this kind of spiral thing with purple. In fact, this is me trying. I thought this was decalcomania, but I actually learned the next day that what I did is actually frottage, which is a technique developed by Max Ernst that was used by two of my favorite artists of all time, which are Leonora Carrington and Remedios Varo. So I wanted to try their technique, and I tried it on this. So I used paper and this pencil, black pencil, took pictures of what I ended up with, printed them and colored them with a purple alcohol marker. And so this is how I ended up with these little details, like the star, and let me see if I can show you the moon and the sun. And so this was how the cover looked like, which is not bad, but it wasn't my vibe. It really wasn't my vibe. It wasn't what I wanted. The next day, I started watching a series of talks about Remedios Varo and Leonora Carrington. I started taking a lot of notes because they were artists and witches, and their magic practice, spiritual practice, and artistic practice would intertwine. So I started taking a lot of notes about that, and my first idea was to create a little cover for a section of my grimoire to call, like, instead of arts and crafts, art and the craft. That section would be designated to studying artists and witches, or even just artists who would make art inspired by magical topics, by witchcraft, by spirituality, by alchemy, etc. So my first idea was that. And the first thing I did, basically I started on a piece of cardboard. I'm starting to recycle a lot and repurpose more than recycle. So I have a lot of cardboard around the house and use them to make little art pieces and stuff like that. And so I did these like monograms, and I started experimenting and studying a font that would look magical and medieval, like old magic books, witchcraft books. And so this is the first thing I came up with, which were these two little pieces of cardboard with the black and gold, and then me trying to come up with a font. So this is the first thing I did. So the next day, what I did is I think I have a picture for this, because I updated my best friend with the process. So I think I can put a picture here. It looks orange, okay? But I actually worked with this red Ohuhu acrylic paint pen with fine liner to like define each and every letter. I used another acrylic marker, but with a brush tip to do the rest. And so I did that, and I really liked it. And initially I was like, okay, I'm going to use it for the cover of my sketchbook. At first, the problem was that I had worked on a bigger surface and didn't consider like the size of the cover. So what I did is I took a picture and worked on it on my iPad to turn it into a black and white. And once I did that, I actually tried to see what a design would look like in black and white by adding this illustration right here. And so I also added this little like star design behind her and ended up with that design. I was like, that looks gorgeous. I'm going to do that for my sketchbook. So I printed the label printer, like each label is this big. As you can see, each label is pretty small. So I printed three all black labels to like build the background. And then I printed one label with the text and one label with the illustration, cut them out and put everything together. As you can see here, I have some left over that I bend toward the inside of the paper instead of cutting them out. And this is the final result. In these past days, I had started adding little charms. I would have on my sketchbook this charm right here, which is a little keychain, very year 2K with the sun, moon, and star that I thrifted on Vinted. And then I decided to take everything off and have this little charm instead with a spiral, and I think everything together looks so good. I'm so happy about this. Once you open this up, you have this illustration that I used to have. I have also the 2025 calendar, and then the sketchbook starts right away, and I have the pages from Edinburgh, and then basically all of my art so far. And then we arrive to this envelope right here where I keep the copies of my drawings that I had repainted. Let me show you a couple, but there's a whole video about that. I'll leave it right here. I used to keep them all close to their correspondent original sketch, but the problem is that inside those plastic bags with these temperatures, the printed part was starting to fade because this is a thermal label printer. So I think that the heat was actually making it disappear again. And so I decided to put them all together because I noticed that if they were covered and not like directly against the plastic, they wouldn't fade. So now none of them is facing the plastic bag, and I keep them all safely like this. I think they will stop fading. And this little plastic envelope is right before this little divider right here, which has another print of an art piece of mine, also here. And then my journal starts. And here I take little notes that don't need to fit into the big one, let's say. And this is the journal part of my sketchbook slash partial everything journal. So this is this one. Now, with this thing that I showed you before, I was like, this would be such a waste if I didn't do anything with it. And so I was like, should I try and craft like a cover for this other journal? And I had a great time with this. So I'm going to show this to you. Okay, so you can see it better right here. Basically, I have cut out these parts I have done, glue them into a proper size piece of purple cardboard. I did the holes myself with like scissors. And then I started having fun with it. I glued the moon. I didn't glue the moon actually because this was another sticker piece of paper. So I just sticked it in here, glued these two, redid the end part, and then worked on all of these juicy details. And I actually ended up also, I wanted to line it up with a purple acrylic pen, but unfortunately this purple, I thought it would render darker. Sorry for the ambulance. Shut up! I thought it would render darker, but it didn't, so I retraced everything with my fountain pen in black, and this is how it turned out. And since I really loved how it turned out, I decided to cut out like a plastic envelope and used it to protect the cover. I thought the charms looked like they belonged on this. So let me show you also this one up close. So you can kind of see where are stitched together all of the labels. And this is what it looks like. So with that said, I just wanted to make this super super. I just wanted to make this super quick video because I was so happy about how this came out. Won't go deep into how this is structured because it is kind of private. So yeah, it is all of my private stuff basically. I ended up redoing this one for the art and the craft section of the grimoire. So right here start all of the annotation from the talks about Leonora Carrington and Remedios Varo and their art and magic. So I ended up doing what I wanted to do at the start, but pretty conveniently I also ended up with 2 brand new covers for my journals. So I'm very happy about that. With that said, this was just a super quick improvised video about this little side passion project of mine. I hope you had fun coming along with me during this basically show and tell. It is messy out here right now, but I hope you had fun with me. By the way, if you stayed till this point, thank you very much. I will see you very soon with more art videos. In the meantime, let's make art. Bye.